It's your girl Yaya Femi.
And we are back with another episode of
The Warlock Horse.
I have been sitting here for about 10 minutes doing all types of practices and shit. Because today
I'm just over here singing.
Today is an episode and we are getting a little deep. And it may be triggering for some of our viewers.
Yeah.
We are talking about abuse, the impact of abuse, and healing from abuse.
Yes.
And clearly you see I'm having a moment right now and I'm just breathing through it. So, and maybe you don't see it. This is just my trauma showing up because shit is real, you know? But we're going to get right into it.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Trying to stay cool in this melting weather.
Hot as hell. Melting.
This melting
My
weather.
edges sure was melting
Yo,
today.
for real. My edges are like this right now. My hair gets so puffy in this
It's
weather.
beautiful though. You already know
Thank
that.
you.
I said something on Facebook today. It's something about the heat is crazy. And crazy because it just seems, I don't remember it being this hot last summer.
Yeah.
You know? But it's something, it feels good though. Like to stand in the sun when you're not doing too much shit.
Yes.
I was standing at the gas station and I could just feel it piercing my skin, but it felt like I was being activated. It was strange.
Yeah. How are you though?
I'm doing good. I had a sinus infection a week ago, so I was definitely taking some time to rest. And it's funny because doing research for this episode,
Yeah.
self-neglect was a topic. And I'm like, have I been abusing myself because I'm not really taking time to be still because I have so much stuff going on?
Yeah.
So me getting sick was like my body's shit. Like we didn't shoot the show last week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it came right on time. It made me aware of me needing to like really respect and listen to my body and like sit the hell down.
Yes.
So that's how
Listen
I
to your
am.
body, or your body will tell you straight up, like, all right.
Yeah, for real.
That's
And it
yeah.
did. And it did. I took my, supplemental things and let that shit pass. I've been mucus is nasty. But
Yes.
what was I? You see, I had to do breath work before we started, y'all. So please bear with us during this episode. We will be being transparent about our own experiences and
Before we even get into this heavy topic, we were actually going to talk about some fun facts about each other.
Thank you, Yaya.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
I
3
love you,
facts
co-pilot.
about Karma Ye and Yaya Femi. Did you want to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go first, girl.
First, I gotta say this one last time, and I promise I'll get focused. Okay, I'm just really grateful for you, like how you just. I'm really feeling it, but you carrying it, and it's making me feel comfortable. And I'm just
Yeah,
really
I got
grateful.
you, girl.
I know that.
Yes.
I believe that. Okay. So usually we do our conscious cards, but we're gonna do this, and this is dope. And
Yeah,
I'm
we
keeping
normally do our conscious cards every episode, but yeah, we want to switch it up today. Definitely
here
want to
we
switch
go.
it up.
Yeah. So ethnicity is going to be mine. 3 fun facts. 3 things that people guess wrong about me or just fun facts. First, ethnicity. Usually people assume that I am Puerto
I thought you
Rican.
were Latina too.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When I first
I
met
always
you.
get Puerto Rican. Lionel keeps telling me microphone, y'all. Damn, I'm trying to get it together. Okay, we gonna get it together. How many minutes are we in? I don't even know.
Girl.
Okay. Ethnicity. So most people do believe or they're under the impression, and I get it. Okay. So to give some clarity, my mother is white. My father is black. My mother comes from England, Hastings, England. My father comes from Shreveport, Louisiana. After my parents separated, my father met his current wife, who I love, Candy. And she's Puerto Rican. So you know what they say? They say if they feed you long enough, you begin to look like them. And I remember the first word that she ever spoke to me in Spanish was nevera, which is refrigerator. Like, go busque eso pa la nevera. So it's like, I had to learn, and she has 3 sons and she would talk to them Spanish. So, and it's in my dialect. Is that the word? Dialect. So it comes out sometimes because I was in that environment. And then being in the system in Texas, there was a lot of Mexicans out there.
Yeah.
So I was around a lot of Mexican girls. So there's certain things, and it's a beautiful culture. And I feel, grateful to be mixed or confused with that type of, but I feel like I'm ranting. Goddamn.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, so I'm black and white,
Yeah.
not Spanish, but I'll take it. That's one. Go ahead, you
Okay.
go.
What would it go? Okay, so I want to talk about my ethnicity too. A lot of people know I am Black. My dad is African American from Philly. My mother, she was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and of course she grew up in Jersey City. But yes, I'm half Puerto Rican, half Black. I always tell people I am Black. Power to the people. Ew. Or I'm Afro-Latina.
Beautiful too.
And I actually did Ancestry. Have you done the Ancestry DNA?
I have not, and I definitely want to do that.
It was interesting. It was very interesting because I found out, I don't know the exact numbers, but I did find a percentage of Nigerian in me. And my mother, after the fact, my mother told me, I don't know if it was her grandfather or her great-grandfather. My great-great-grandfather, I got to ask her again, but he was from Nigeria.
Okay.
So I found that out later. And I actually have a great-grandmother from Spain, too. So I have Spaniard in me, too.
That's dope.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's crazy, like the melting pot, like how it all comes from somewhere. It's deeper.
Yep.
And it's beautiful. Have you ever studied, like went back and looked at cultural things or beliefs? And that's so dope.
Definitely.
That's
definitely.
So dope. That's dope.
Yes.
Another fun fact about me. I love music. If you follow me, you probably see me on there singing, dancing around, stuff like that. I discovered my passion for music as a child, being in environments where I had to, sit by myself. I had to find ways to entertain myself. This is in like group homes, detention centers. And most times they keep kids separate at nighttime unless it is a group home setting. So I'll be separate. And in my dorm room, there would be a desk and I would beat on the desk and write lyrics and make songs and sing. Okay. So that was something that I used as a form of therapy. And I realized I was good at it. I was singing in front of the other, I wouldn't call them inmates, but I guess like inmates, that type of thing. And my peers.
Yeah.
And it was just that. It was from then that I knew, like, this is
When did you
passion.
realize you can sing? Like, what? Then. How old were you?
I mean, as a kid, always singing along to Disney songs and stuff. But no, I don't remember people really
like, oh my gosh,
encouraging it. I was in choir. I was in choir and stuff, and in the group environments in public school. I was sung in church, but that didn't happen until I was in the system. So I didn't know I could sing until somebody like really believed and said it out loud, because I would just sing along to things. I didn't think like I was gonna be a singer until and that's probably like 9, 10.
Okay,
that was the short damn answer. 9, 10. Clearly I'm on a roll.
That's good. And then you got a gift.
Thank you.
I don't know if y'all heard Carmen sing, but I heard Carmen sing, I would say like 10 years ago. Ooh. There was somebody who was like a local rapper. He actually showed me a video of you singing. And I was like, oh, who's that? And told me your name. So that's how I heard. That. Yeah, this was going back. I was like,
talking about this?
I was like 21, 22.
Yeah. And in that video, I'm beating on the.
Yeah, you was beating against the wall. Like you was making a beat. You was singing. Yeah. And I was like, oh, she's really dope. She got a real flawless voice. I was like, I like that.
Flawless.
Yeah.
Girl.
And then I remember the music video that you had, and you had like the smoke coming out and stuff. I remember that too. Yeah, I definitely remember that. So I've been following you for years. I knew who you were for a long time. I
remember your music. Your music.
Yes.
Are you? Let me stop.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be your next fun fact.
Yeah, that was another fun fact about me. I have if you go on YouTube, type up Yaya Femi, I do have a music video called 3 a.m. So that was actually one of the first songs that I recorded like in a studio. And I'm not like the biggest, like I was always into like singing, songwriting, writing poetry. And that was another fun fact too. Like I write poetry, but that was inspired from like listening to like Aaliyah. I was a big Aaliyah fan.
Yeah. And then I saw you just post Rock the Boat in your story the other day too.
Yes. So like, you know how I sing, my singing style, it's almost similar to her. She doesn't have a big voice. It was soft. It was even very soft. It does
get big when you want it to.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. So I always liked that singing style. Like her style was crazy. So I wanted to get into music and stuff too. Yeah.
And I could hear that on a 3. I'm so... What was it? So gone.
Yes.
So gone.
Yeah. 3 a.m. 3 a.m. was such a like What a time that was, because I really wrote about my depression. I was like battling depression at the time, so I found this really dope beat like on SoundClick.com.
Yeah,
yes, and that's how I found it.
SoundClick.com.
Yes, SoundClick.
Track today.
I bought the beat and I bought it to where like they took the tags out and stuff too, because you know, quality over everything.
You got a lease on the beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was a great time. I actually had like, I think, over 500 views or something like that.
That's dope.
Yeah. It was something.
I love that we share that journey, just that expression through music.
Yes.
I like that you shouted that out, because I did not shout it out. I go by Karma Ye now. This is
Karma Ye.
Karma Ye. This is a new reinvention, creation of myself, because I've been doing some work and some things just don't resonate anymore.
Right.
But previous music you can find on YouTube or any platform, Carmen Alexandra. That's where most of my music is. I have a lot of unreleased music, and I do plan on taking things down. So eventually, you know, songs that I have, I'll probably use as placement songs to sell as a songwriter or something. I'm figuring out the journey.
Yeah, definitely. You got to go with the flow.
Yes,
definitely. I told myself, if I ever start recording music again, I'm more into like behind the scenes. I'd rather write songs for people. I'm not like really big on singing like that. But if I ever were to get back into a studio, I want to do rock music.
Yeah, you said that too.
Yes,
that's dope.
Like Korn, System of a Down type of music. I want to scream in the mic like, ah, like I want to do crazy shit.
I could see like Paramore for me. I could do like a Paramore, like a soft. Like but I like that. That's eclectic as hell. Remember when Khalees came out with the "I hate you so much"?
Yes, I love that kind of music. Like I love that wild, free rage type of music.
It's a release. It's definitely a release.
Definitely. All right, what's your last?
The purpose of this was to get to the heavy stuff, and we still.
I know, right? One more, real quick. What's your last fact?
I love to connect to nature. I love nature. I love to go outside and feel connected and learn.
Okay, cool. Actually, I'm the same way too. My last fun fact, and some people know this too, I am a solo traveler.
Dope.
I will literally book a flight and be like, all right, I'm out. Peace.
I love that.
I traveled to Canada by myself. That was my first international trip.
Dope.
By myself. It's only like a couple hours. It was a friendly, atmosphere. Dope. Did that. My first solo trip was Miami. Did that for a whole week. Ever since then, like I felt like everyone like tries to instill fear in you, like, oh, you got to be careful, you a female, and I should be careful, but it was very empowering.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
I can't say I've traveled solo to go places, but to meet with people. I can't say I've gone to a location or somewhere just to be alone. I've done it with my kids, but that's not alone.
Loved it. You could just sit there and just do nothing. You enjoy your own time. You don't got to worry about you wanted to do, like, if you want to do any type of experience, you don't got to worry about the next person being like, oh, I don't feel like doing it. Oh, I don't like that. Oh, I don't like this type of food. No, like you have control of your entire vacation.
That's necessary too. That's necessary.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yes, girl.
Go girl.
Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Thank you, girl.
3 fun facts.
Yes, we're wrapping this up.
And this was a good icebreaker too.
Yes.
This is a good icebreaker. I feel more calm.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we good, girl.
I love it here.
Yes.
I love it here.
So trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
So today's episode will be about abuse, the different types of abuse, different forms, and how abuse impacts people and how to heal from abuse. So I just want to add that there.
And we are going to kick it off with what is abuse and how has abusive behaviors become normalized? Okay, what is abuse? What does abuse, not the types, but what is abuse?
How do I even describe that? What is abuse? How would you describe it?
For me, to simply put it, abuse is anything done to harm you. Yeah, to harm
you, break you down.
To break down. It can be through the form of physical. It could be through the form of
emotional words.
It could be through the form of financial dependency on things.
Yeah.
It shows up in many ways, in many forms, and we will get into that. How is abusive behaviors or abusive things, how is that normalized in our culture? Where do we see that the most? I want to say every damn where. I want to say we are built
in our music,
abuse, okay,
in our music. It's crazy how you mentioned Khaleesi's song. Right. And I want to get into that a little later, but it's crazy how you mentioned Khaleesi's song. And I'm just gonna let's just like keep that in our brains right there, because I'm gonna mention that later. But abuse, whether it's a man or a woman, it's like either a joking matter. We tend to joke about it. We tend to laugh about that trauma. Like, for example, Ike and Tina.
Yes.
We have for years, since the movie came out, we have joked about Tina's abuse, and in reality, that shit's not funny.
Hit so heavy.
It's so normalized. There's like it's memes, just a joking matter.
Floating around.
The memes,
that was really. I never even stopped. Like, this is a mind blowing moment. It's like who stops to think about Tina Turner when she sees this shit floating around on the internet?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Or Chris Brown and Rihanna.
Really,
Chris Brown and Rihanna. You know how many times I have heard, "Yo, you keep fucking with me, I'm a Chris Brown you." He's a verb now. Like, are you serious?
He's a verb. Wow.
Yes. So I hear that a lot. It's just
definitely not a
funny.
Joking matter. I understand as humans like to make light out of situations. Yeah. And that's a part of, but there's still like a level of respect and consideration that you have to have. Even if you don't agree or if you have different beliefs, it's still like a consideration.
Yes.
And respect.
And another way we tend to normalize it too, like when it comes to men being abusive, it kind of starts young with the boys will be boys. If a boy did something to you, like if he sucked gum in your hair or threw a chair at you, oh, that's because he likes you, sweetie. That's because he likes you. And it's teaching us young girls that them trying to harm us is like we should tolerate it because that means they like us.
It's cute and it's not.
And
you see how it all goes like to generational and just how it's just cycling down.
Yes.
To me, where I see it being normalized a lot is in the food industry and in like how we as the people get together. Like we are abusive towards food sometimes. Like we are not even sometimes. We overindulge. We become everything is market. If you go to the hood, you see liquor stores on every
that's
corner.
like substance abuse, and, pretty much. Yeah.
If you go and it's normalized, and if you go to the Super Bowl, every ad is promoted by a beer, but you don't see. It's definitely. Like everything is, and it's okay in moderation. Of course, it's fun. Beers can even be good for gut digestion. You know what I'm saying? But it's the way it's.
Yeah, that's like self-abuse.
Like, we can't have a good time unless you see people dancing with bottles and it's like glorified.
Yeah,
and it's a very tricky line that it's like you're pushing people to because it's addictive. Once you get that edge off, because that's what I hear people say. You know, like just to take the edge off, and I've said it. Myself.
They use it. They pretty much normalize it in marketing in general. Yes. Whether it's like cartoons, and I'm not just talking about like I'm talking about all different forms of abuse. Whether it's like cartoons, movies, TV shows, like very like all hidden messages.
I love that. I love that we are very aware on how it's normalized.
Yeah.
And maybe us having this conversation will raise awareness so you guys can be more, because I'm guilty of indulging too, you know, so we could be more mindful of what we are consuming and what we're watching or what our kids are watching and what we're setting them up for.
Right.
Because it's everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Types of abuse.
We talked about types of abuse. One of the types, different forms of abuse is like emotional. We don't talk about emotional enough. We always talk about the physical. We also have psychological abuse, verbal abuse.
Yes.
Things like that.
So this falls under domestic violence.
Yes.
So these are forms of abuse that fall under domestic violence. Sexual abuse.
Yes.
Definitely it's not talked about enough. And not even that it's not taught, it's really normalized.
Yeah, it's all a form of abuse. And even that's even part of domestic abuse too, is sexual abuse, because even like spouses will probably feel entitled to you.
You feel
and
guilty
they use that
too.
Yeah. They use their bodies as a weapon. Like it's crazy.
And with emotional, they use access as a weapon.
Yes.
Access to me. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to stonewall.
Yeah.
Those are signs as well. Oh, we are just dissecting this thing from the real. Okay. Look, I'm doing good though. Like I'm so fucking grateful, Yaya. Like I feel like I could do this.
Yeah.
We could do this. And I'm acting like I haven't been, y'all probably think like I got my ass beat or something. That's how I'm acting. It's just like the being transparent and putting my personal business out. You know, like it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Big scary. types of abuse.
We have,
but we talked about emotional.
Yes.
I wanted to stay on that just a little bit in regard to people don't know that they're abusive because it is normalized. So when we say normalized, that means it's just it's normal. People aren't aware. And I am learning, even after going to my own counseling after a situation, I saw myself being abusive. There were instances where I didn't react the way that a healthy person would have reacted. And I abused my power. I abused my intelligence. Like I was manipulative. You know what I mean? There's things, and that's abusive.
Yes.
So it's easy to do. It's easy to do if you're not conscious of what it is. So that's
definitely
why we got to break it down.
Myself. Like I have been in situations where I have cursed men out. I have put my hands on men. I definitely held myself accountable for that. Like my early 20s was like the roughest years of my life. I have definitely put hands on men before. Ooh. Definitely.
Siri said, I don't know how to respond
to that. Mind your business, Siri.
She ain't never did that. Mind it, girl.
Right. But yeah, I've been guilty of that before. And it's crazy because I will sit back and kind of reflect like, damn, did I really need to do that? No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I know
so it took a lot of healing.
I know, and I'm happy for you. The awareness is beautiful because that's what is going to help us change this normalized bullshit. Our awareness and our accountability for it, because we all show up to these abusive situations. We play a role in it, even though it's not okay for it to be treated that way. But raising awareness gives us a sense of worth, gives us some values, you know, so that helps us get out and break cycles.
Right.
You just talked about putting your hands on people. I want to say one of my abusive behaviors is control.
Yeah.
And that's a trauma response that I've developed, but it's still not an excuse.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to learn, like, it's not my place to manage people. It's not my place to push people to see things my way. It's not my place. It's all I can do is show up, say what I need, say my expectations, be clear, be respectful, and see what they do with it. And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, that's my choice and my responsibility to say, nah, I can't do this, or I'm gonna be on some toxic shit and try to force my way. Like, cause I've had experiences where it's like, I just do this cycle where it's like, well, you're not doing what I want you to, you're not treating me how I want you to treat me, but I don't say how I want you to treat me.
Right.
And it's like a cycle, and then the bullshit happens.
Yeah.
That's my experience with like control. I have been verbally, I've cussed. I've been in like a wrestling match, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm laughing and that's me deflecting or just some trauma response, but it's not a joke. And you don't put your hands on people.
Yeah.
You don't put your hands on people unless there is no unless it's self-defense.
But yeah, if you're acting in self-defense,
yeah, self-defense, yes.
But to just deliberately hurt somebody, yes. No, it no matter what, whether you a man or a woman, keep your hands to yourself.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay. What are some emotional, psychological? Okay, so we talk about emotional. We talked about, did we really give detail of what
psychological abuse? So that can be psychological abuse. So that's you know what, we don't talk about that.
No.
We don't talk about that. And that reminds me of, that sounds like something like emotional abuse or, oh my God, I just mentioned it. I was just looking at it.
Which one?
It was in here.
You said psychological, emotional.
No, it was blackmail, emotional blackmail.
Emotional blackmail,
that's like psychological. That's a form of psychological abuse.
That's, yes.
I had a whole brain fart. Yeah.
How does that show up? Explain what that looks like. Emotional blackmail.
Emotional
I know we have notes.
Blackmail,
we got resources
like holding things over your head, whether it's personal things
keeping
or
score.
things that you have done. Yeah, keeping score.
Keeping score.
Definitely keeping score. That's something that is a psychological, that causes psychological impact on somebody.
It does. It creates
manipulation,
guilt, low self-esteem.
Yes.
You really start to question your own sanity. Like, am I? Like, do I have a, there's ways to go about.
Yes.
That's what I feel like, because some people, we're saying this, keeping track, keeping score. Everybody keeps score.
Yeah.
Everybody keeps score, but it's how you go about expressing what you're seeing and being accountable on a pattern, calling it out. But keeping score and just waiting until a fight to bring it up and throw it down somebody, bring it in their face. That's abusive. That's trying to break a person. And people, I find that in those situations, people do that when they're being held accountable for something.
Yes.
They want to bring up this and bring up that and remind you of how you did this. And it's like, that's not even what we're talking about right now. Can you hear me in this present moment? Yeah. Instead of talking about things that, you know what I mean? Like, that's a real thing. That's how it plays out.
Right. So,
and we're back.
Yes, we are back. So I actually want to get into emotional blackmail more, and that's a part of psychological abuse.
We're going to dissect this for y'all. We want to make sure that we are educating and not just sharing from our opinion because it's real.
So let's talk about emotional blackmail. It's another tactic emotional abusers use. So this is really emotional abuse, actually. They might humiliate you in private or in public, use your compassion, fears, or values to control you in a situation, or punish you by giving you the silent treatment or withholding affection. So how many of us have been guilty of the silent treatment? Think about that.
I've been on both ends of the stick, and it doesn't
and
feel
it is
good.
Abusive.
Yeah, it is.
It's very abusive. Rather than you just communicating, being an adult and actually communicating your issues, you just not speak to that person. That's torture.
It can feel like torture for the person on the receiving end, for sure.
Yes.
Something that I've had to come to terms with after my situation and having to go to counseling and learning about emotional abuse and psychological abuse.
Yes.
Sometimes people just don't have the tools, and that's not my responsibility. It's not our job, but to have some understanding of how it happens.
Yeah.
Like, all of this shit stems from their trauma and them not doing the work and not overcoming these things or seeing themselves.
Yes.
So they might think they're avoiding and stonewalling or purposely not communicating about something because they don't want to reveal a weakness, or they don't, in their mind, they're justified. I learned that a lot about abusers. Some people, they really think that their mindset is the way because it's what they know, like it's what they've seen. And I'm not making excuses for people. I'm just trying to give understanding of how these things happen.
Yeah. And you know what? When I want to talk about emotional and psychological abuse, they mentioned humiliation. And I'm starting to see some things like, especially like on TikTok, pranking your partner, but in a way where it's like not funny.
That's one thing about me.
That's humiliation. That's a form of humiliation. That, or I actually seen a video and it went viral. This guy, he took his girl and threw her in the water. She couldn't swim. So when she got out the water, her hair was, everything's all soaked. She got really upset with him, and he was just like, relax. Like, it wasn't a big deal. Calm down. Yeah. That's abuse. That's a humiliation.
Call it out. Yes. Give those specific, because it's everywhere. It is everywhere.
And then let's go deeper into humiliation. Let's talk about child abuse.
Oh yes.
How we like to dress our kids a certain way because you think they act grown, so you take a picture of them, say, oh well, my daughter was acting grown, so I made her dress like a child today. Or you decide to cut their hair and stuff like that because they got smart with you. Yeah. That's all humiliation.
That is a form, definitely.
I am calling everybody out on that because I see that a lot too. Ain't nothing cool about that.
Humiliation is devaluing.
Yes.
It's trying to break a person's spirit down. It's trying to put doubt in them.
Yes.
Like it's a control tactic.
Yes, it's a control tactic. Definitely. To humble and
it depends on if we're talking about what kind of people. Like, we have this book on Focus over here, The People of the Lie, and that book breaks down. That's by The Hope for Healing, The Hope for Healing Human Evil by M. Scott Peck. Okay, in there, I haven't read the whole thing, but I've done some glimpsing in there. I definitely want to read it. You're more than welcome to read it and share your thoughts with us. But they talk about, just sometimes there's the sociopath, the people who are intentionally humiliating you. Yeah. And then there are people who are just not aware. So self-awareness plays a big role in separating, because everybody can be abusive, but an abuser, somebody who is aware and it's just like targeted, like just vicious.
They know what they're doing. They catch the most vulnerable people.
Yes. Yeah. There is a difference. So some people might be humiliating you and doing shit to break you purposely. That is so dangerous and ugly. Okay. But there may be people as well that grew up in environments where that was normalized and making mean jokes. And because I know people like that. They talk shit and it's like they're always joking, but sometimes it's like, okay, you going too far. Okay, that's too personal. Okay. So it's like, it's very important to know you and express yourself.
Yes.
And check it in the moment and set a boundary. And you got to use your tools. You don't got to do get backs. You don't got to cower and be like, why are you treating me this way? But just say, it hurts when you say this, or I am uncomfortable when you say this, or you know what I mean? There's tools and ways to do it. I'm trying to help us break these abusive things because I know it shows up everywhere. Yeah. So we got to give tools too on how. Because I don't think people, besides the people, the sociopaths and the narcissists, the diagnosed people, right? I don't think people want to be abusive. People are usually feeling like they're being wronged. You know what I'm saying? Some people feel that way. Some people are like, I treat her like this because she do, or I do this to him.
Because they don't see it as abuse. They just see it as like this crazy toxic relationship.
Yes, this is just how love goes.
Love. Yeah, this is how love is. Yeah,
that's why we're having this conversation. So you can know like there are ways to break. These things are not normal. They've been normalized, and it's normalized on TikTok. It's normalized on YouTube. It's normalized in the cartoons, the music. But it's not normal, and we can do better. And when we do better, we'll stop complaining about how crazy the world is because people will know how to show up and be civil, respectful, considerate, non-abusive. Yes. Okay. Next.
So
we're breaking down the signs, like what it is. So
definitely want to keep continue with the signs of abuse before I get to this part. But definitely one of the first signs, especially for me, because I've experienced that too with like narcissistic relationships and stuff. Love bombing.
Yes. Oh yes.
Love bombing. Yeah. And it's so tricky because it's like there's people who are really loving and affectionate, and then there's people who are performative. Yes. So it's like you really have to pay attention to every detail. Definitely.
That's a real thing. And I was flattered. Yes. I was flattered by love bombing. I've normalized these terms.
Yeah. Like when I say, so how do you describe love bombing?
Love bombing. From personal experience. You know, I was bigger. I had the glasses, things like that. So compliments, they would seem like compliments to me. Yeah. Okay, so love bombing is when it's excessive, always trying to point out your physical, always trying to compliment you on what you're doing. And it's a difference. It's a difference between being proud of your people and just giving a nod and acknowledging something. But when you're like in the middle of an argument, or when they did something wrong, or you know you're not comfortable, and then they come to you and they're trying to like overly get your guard down and butter you up because it's like, oh, like that's a form of love bombing. That's trying to manipulate you in a sense of your perception of them.
So you could feel like secure and like, okay, I feel
put your guard down.
Yeah, you let your guard down
because it's like, oh, they think I'm so pretty, or they think I'm so smart, or that must mean they respect me, even though their actions don't align with their words. They just trying to butter you up and get you open. Yeah. So that they can gain control. Because that's what it's really all about. To gain control, to have favor. And that's what I feel like it's all about. It's about control, dominating, breaking people down because you're miserable. You know what I mean? Like that's what I would think of an abuser. Like,
yeah. And one of the other signs is isolation.
Yes.
Definitely isolation. Yes. They start talking bad about your family, your friends. They want to keep you to themselves. Yeah. And next thing you know, is like especially when some people don't even realize they're being abused. Next thing you know, you haven't really spoken to your friends like that, or you start because they are putting words in your head. You start thinking, oh well, my friends are jealous. Everyone's giving you all the warnings, and they're like, oh, everybody's hating on this relationship. Everybody's jealous of me. That's all part of the tactic.
You heard Beyonce. She said, "My men don't like my friends. He say they influence me." Like that's getting in, planting seeds, trying to control. Yeah. Trying to control. Yeah.
They try to, keep track and try to control how many times you contact your friends and family. And that's what I meant by isolation. They don't want you close to anyone else but them. Ooh, so it's all possession. That's another sign too, is possessiveness, insecurity.
Yeah. So is that, because I am guilty of abuse in that way. insecurity. And I justified it. I've justified it. And I still feel justified in some of my abusive behaviors. And that probably sounds toxic as fuck, but it is what it is.
It's like confronting somebody, like let's say me and Lionel are together, right? And then another woman was just looking at him. And I confront him and I'm like, so why is that bitch looking at you, huh?
That's abusive as fuck.
Why is that bitch looking at you? What did you do? Like I'm like, you know what I mean? And I'm making it your fault. I'm making you feel guilty because
paranoia onto your partner in a sense. And it's like, they don't know this person. They didn't plan for them to be there.
And then that's when they want to tell you that you got to dress a certain way. They don't want nobody else to look at you. That. Yes. Like that's, I'm telling you, something it's like step by step. They know exactly what they're doing.
Ooh. And I was in a very vulnerable place because my weight loss journey. So like I said, I'm recreating myself and I'm getting into the space where it's like, you know, I'm getting fit. I'm gonna show a little skin. You know what I'm saying? And it would be like, oh, that's what you wore? Oh, you going to the studio like that? And mind you, everybody like, girl, you look so cute. You're in jeans and boots and you might see a little cleavage. I got big titties. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to see cleavage if I wear a shirt with a little bit of a low cut.
Right.
But that was, and I would really, I think I have a video on my Instagram page where I'm talking to myself in the mirror and I'm like, this is anatomy. Everybody has body parts. Do not allow yourself to feel guilty for feeling sexy. They don't want you to be sexy because that's self-empowerment. And once you realize your value, once you see and empower yourself, they can't control you because then you start to see the patterns. Then you start to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
So they play.
It's like they try to find ways to humble you.
Yes. Ooh, you said that so perfectly. Like
they try to find ways to humble
me, build me up, gas me up.
Yeah,
baby.
rather than building you up, gassing you up and stuff, like they try to find ways to kind of just shut your shit down. That's another sign.
Oh no, I'm having like epiphanies now, like looking back on situations, and I'm like, yo, that was abuse.
You can't express yourself around an abuser. You can't express yourself. You can't be yourself. You can't dress a certain way. They're just quick to just shut your shit down.
Yeah.
So it's not even just humiliation. It's just someone trying to humble you too.
Yeah,
definitely.
I like the way you say, because it's nobody's job. There's a difference. It's like, you got to know the difference, y'all. We're saying these things. Your friend can humble you, but you're going to know how your friend is going to humble you. Your friend is going to consider the person you are and approach you with respect and accountability and just concern.
Yeah.
An abusive person is going to belittle you and let you know about yourself. Like, girl, like.
Yes. And that's what I mean by humble.
Yes. Like they know better. When it's like, it's my life and I'm figuring it out for me. Don't act like you know better for me. Like that's a control thing.
Yes.
It all comes back to the control.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yep. One of the last signs that we can talk about, invalidation, gaslighting. They make you feel like you're just going crazy. Like, and I have been a victim of that. I have reflected on past relationships and I'm like, yo, I can't, it makes you feel like you're going crazy.
I want to read this so people know that we got this from a credible source. What website was this? This was makingwellness.com.
Makingwellness.com.
There's a few citations. If you're interested to know where we got this information from, you can shoot us a DM and I can send links. We could send links to you so you can educate yourself on this. Yes. Okay. The invitation is open. Invalidation. So one of the tactics emotional abusers use is invalidation and gaslighting. If they don't accept your feelings and tell you instead how to feel about something, they're invalidating your feelings. It feels like your side of things doesn't count. Other examples include distorting, dismissing, or undermining your reality or perceptions. Because remember, there's two perspectives, two sides, and who's to say who's right or wrong? All we could do is figure out and how to understand, period. Okay? Making you give explanations of your feelings over and over again. That I can see that. Once you understand the feeling, we don't need to keep going over it. Just validate it and accept it.
Yeah.
You understand? If me asking somebody over and over again, like, how can you, I'm trying to create doubt as if you're bugging. And maybe they're not bugging.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Maybe they're not bugging. It's a feeling.
Yes.
Honor that feeling. Hear the feeling. Make space for the feeling. Don't shut people down. I've been guilty of shutting people down because it didn't align with what I thought. But no, it's two sides in any connection, not just romantic things. Telling you you're crazy. You just said this. Crazy, too emotional, too sensitive.
Yes.
I got to rethink some shit because I got people in my life now that tell me I'm too sensitive.
You got,
okay?
Yeah.
And I look at my sensitivity as a gift because it allows me to sense when I'm in some shit or when something's not resonating with my spirit.
Like either is that person like, and
speaking to Mike,
yeah. Let me, yes. So I'm talking to y'all, right? So if you calling somebody crazy or sensitive, are they really sensitive or you don't like respecting people's boundaries?
Ooh. What is it?
Yeah. Think about that.
That's it. And that's also, it all comes down to control. It's like they want to control how their perspective is supposed to go, how it is. And it don't work like that. That's why being flexible and aware of yourself and what works for you, that's so important because it'll put you in once you're aware, it's like, I'm not even going to tolerate or be around this because it doesn't work.
Yes.
You know? So those are a few signs or ways and tactics that we can see emotional abuse. Another form of abuse, I want to talk about, we talked about, well, not really sexual. Everybody knows what sexual abuse is. Well, no, some people might not know. Some people might be in relationships. You actually said this before we started the show. Be in relationships.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too.
And feel entitled.
Because there's so many different forms that you would have to, we'll post the link of the website, the source that we used, and definitely it's very, very insightful, very informational.
That's a great idea.
Because we can go through this and all night.
But let's read these and then we just pick the ones that we have.
Yeah. So we mentioned physical abuse, domestic violence or abuse, sexual abuse. We mentioned psychological or emotional. Financial or material abuse.
That's an interesting one.
Yes.
Modern slavery.
Yep.
Discriminatory abuse.
Yes.
I want to talk about that. That sounds interesting because being discriminative is a resisting frequency. It's a very judgmental frequency. I feel like people may not know that they're doing it. I feel like we should talk on that a little bit more. Organizational and institutional abuse. We'll be here all day talking about institutions and systematic shit. Okay? We'll save that for another episode.
Right.
Go ahead.
Neglect or acts of omission or self-neglect.
So I want to talk about self-neglect, definitely.
Okay.
Because that's like betrayal.
Okay.
Go ahead and get back to
real quick about sexual abuse. I'll make it very, very brief because, like I said, we will be here all night talking about all these different forms of abuse. Sexual abuse. Let's talk about like when it comes to your spouse, right? So, and it's crazy because I was showing you that Lauren London interview about how relations nowadays are egotistic.
Yes.
And this is an egotistic thing too. But your spouse is not your possession. You do not own your spouse. You are not entitled to your spouse. Okay? So for example, you want to make love to your partner and they don't feel like it, that's okay.
It is okay. Don't guilt trip.
Don't guilt trip. Don't coerce them to have sex with you. Coercing someone to have sex with you is sexual abuse.
Wow, I just saw a reel yesterday and I actually chuckled.
Yes.
Wow, you see how we're raising awareness? So in the video, the guy came out the room. The caption said, when you don't get none the night before, right? And the wife is there doing the dishes and the man come out the room like he just woke up and she's like, oh, hey, baby. And then he dap her up and give her a hug like, what's up, my nigga? You know what I'm saying? And at first it was funny because I'm like, oh shit, like, oh, he's salty because he didn't get none. But now when you say it like that, it raises my awareness and expands my thinking because I'm like, oh wait, so now you're going to treat her like she's not your partner and withhold affection.
Exactly.
Because she ain't give you sex. And there's other ways to connect and get your needs met.
As hell.
That is.
So you're going to withhold affection
that's
and
sexual abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. Like, whether you think it's not, it definitely is.
See, when I think of sexual abuse, I only thought of physical touching, things like that, but that could also be
sexual abuse comes in many forms. It doesn't have to be
happens at the workplace.
Yeah, like it comes in many forms. Like it doesn't have to be some creep hiding in the bushes coming and grabbing you. It affects the workplace. It affects your relationships too.
Love bombing. It could be in the form of love bombing too. Over complimenting anatomy and parts that is just not appropriate, pervy, creepy. That's sexual abuse.
Yeah. So yes, that's what we mean by sexual abuse. Like just keep in mind that even though that is your spouse, that person's consent does matter, and you should be respectful of their consent.
Yes. Before we get to, because I do want to get to the double standards of abuse, but I want to wrap up. I want to talk about self neglect.
Yeah.
We may not have time to do the discriminatory, but we'll definitely, like I said, we're gonna do a link. Self neglect. I don't need to read about that. Self neglect is self betrayal, and that is a form of abuse. I talked about it a little bit when we started. Me being sick, not listening to my body. We are abusing ourselves when we don't when we're not aware or in tune, or when our body is speaking to us and we don't listen. And that could be from food, that could be from emotions, when we beat ourselves up and talk down, when we don't go to the doctor. A lot of people are afraid to go to the doctors these days. Like, some people just don't believe in going. I understand not getting vaccinated and stuff like that. I understand being on a natural diet and stuff, but you need to go get lab work. You need to go. You're not doing that at home. You know what I'm saying? You need to go to the doctor. You are abusing your right to live if you're not keeping.
Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's abuse. That's neglect. That's self-betrayal. Very important. It's very important to check in with yourself. Check in with yourself, because if you're checking in with yourself, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be in an abusive relationship, because you're making that time to see, I deserve this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tolerate this. When we neglect those talks with ourselves, we find ourselves in situations where we're tolerating bullshit.
Yeah.
So self-neglect, it always comes back to self.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
That's a very important.
Yes.
Find out how you might
that
be.
up. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. We can talk about double standards.
Yes. Okay.
Definitely want to talk about that. So, so you do know that abusers are not just men, right? It can also be women too.
Indeed. You see us being accountable here, y'all.
So, like I mentioned myself, I have done things that were abusive. Definitely. Remember, we mentioned the Khalees song, Caught Out There. That's what the song is called, Caught Out There. If some of y'all are maybe a little younger, born after like 96 or some shit, go on YouTube, right? Type in Khalees, Caught Out There. Watch the entire music video.
Oh, that's from NERD. Star Trek.
When I was younger, right, I didn't really think nothing of it. But now that I'm older and I'm more aware, that video was toxic as hell.
Yeah.
If she were to release that video now in this climate, she would have gotten canceled. Remember the beginning of the music video, right? That dude, her boyfriend, I guess he cheated on her or something, was fighting for his life, and he flatlined. His face was all beat up. She beat him to death.
Yeah, and it was normalized.
Yes,
and, it was
and she's
glorified.
all in the mental institution. I hate you so much right now.
Yeah.
Like all it like wrapped up in the I forgot what the thing is called. That
the straight jacket.
Yeah, the straight jacket. And towards the end, she got up, got all in his face, cornered him in a wall, and had a rifle, and all you hear is ch-ch. That's abuse.
Yes. Okay.
That's
yes.
domestic violence.
And there's and it could be called art and stuff, but there is a way to portray. It's like the meme with Tina Turner and people making jokes about stuff like that.
Yes.
It's like,
and that's all normalized.
That form of art was not illustrated correctly. Maybe she had an experience, because we heard her. She talked about her experience with Nas when all of that was happening.
Yes.
She was in an abusive situation too. So maybe that was her form of expression and letting her shadow come out.
Well, that was no, because Nas came after that song.
Still, even if it was Nas or not, maybe she had an experience. I don't know, but maybe that was her way of expressing, like, if you try me, this is what I'll do. So she was using her rage in that way, but it was normalized, and there should have been like some sort of. The climate not okay.
back in the 90s and the early 2000s was so different. So we let it slide. We forgive you, Khalees, but
not okay. If you look at so Brandy has a song called Borderline. And in her music video, she's in a straight jacket and she's singing about, her toxic traits, and I'm on the borderline, and she's holding herself accountable. Like, I'll go crazy on you if you change. Like, if you act different, but she's not hurting anybody. She's just being accountable. So
that's different.
I got chills sharing that. So now y'all got to go watch Borderline by Brandy and Khalees and see the different representations of how people are hurt.
Yeah, I think Caught Out There was a lot more. It was a lot different. Like, she deliberately tried to kill that man.
Since we're talking about Khalees and Caught Out There in music, I'm now going to introduce the other song called I Just Want to Get Along With You. You remember? Don't need no paper. I don't know what it's called.
Get Along With You.
Get Along With You by Khalees. Now, in that song, that is the victim's stance. You understand? Like, that is a victim. It's like, try me because I'll be the one that makes you happy. I don't need no paper. Like, I'll do anything just to be with you.
Yeah.
That is like a victim mentality because like, it's nobody's job to make you happy. You know what I mean? And this is things that I had to learn on my journey. But it's glorified in the song. So it's putting a mindset of, I'm dependent on you and I'll tolerate things and because you're all I need. And it's cute to hear. But nah. There has to be some sense of separation, some sense of awareness. Like, I don't need you to make me happy, but you definitely bring a sense of happiness in my life, and I'm grateful. Not, I need you so bad, and if you go away, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, it's cute, but that's toxic. You gotta accept what is happening, give it space, let it breathe, come back and have a conversation. We not begging.
Yeah.
We're gonna be accountable. We're gonna be clear in what we want and our desires and our needs and what we want from people.
Right.
What we do need from people, but we're not gonna beg people to. We're not gonna beg.
Yeah.
That's a dependency thing, a codependent type thing.
Yeah.
Which I had to learn.
So to answer this question, a lot of people ask this question, there is a double standard in domestic violence. Yes, there is.
Definitely.
Women can be abusive. Yeah. Women can be abusive towards men. I have heard a lot of horror stories from my male friends about what women have done to them, how they beat them up and pull their hair. And heard one horror story where this one girl, she crashed her car into his car, like things like that. And I'm like, well, why didn't you report it? Why didn't you say anything? And be like, man, because I don't want them laughing at me. I don't want them, like, it's really sad, like how it becomes a laughing matter when the male is the victim.
Not even definitely a laughing matter, but to add to that,
and to see it as weak.
They're afraid to report. Yeah. They're afraid to report because if a man calls the cops because they're getting their ass beat, the cops gonna come and look at the man.
Be like, well, why didn't you do anything?
That's systematic. That's a different type of.
And it's so sad because like a man, we can defend ourselves, right? But if a man were to hit a woman back, he goes to jail.
Yeah.
He goes to jail for it.
It's really unfortunate.
So it is like what men got to do is like, you got to put somebody in restraint.
Yes.
And some women are, and it's crazy because some women aren't built like me. Like, I'm only like 135 pounds. I'm only 5 feet, but some women are big as hell, and you got to do more than just a restraint just to get them off of you. So it can come off as you hitting them back, but it's crazy. Like what a man got to go through when he's the one being abused.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is. It's definitely something to think about, the double standard.
Yeah. And I wanted to call out one thing with the double standards, and I see this on Facebook a lot. It's this one post that's been floating around and people are sharing it. And I don't remember exactly what it was said word for word, but it was like, name a time where you did something crazy to a man and he still and he stayed with you. And people were talking about how they scratched up the man's car and they did this and did that. Like
some
first
people
of all,
believe that's an expression
that's
of
not
love.
A flex.
Yeah, some people think
that's not a flex, bro. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Like you bragging about it. I don't ever brag about the shit I have done to men at all. Like, I want to keep that shit in the past. I'm healed. I held myself accountable. I apologize and I'm done.
Yeah.
But y'all are bragging about this like this is a cool thing. Let the men do it. Let the men talk about what they do to women and watch how everything changes. Watch the energy shift. Watch it.
Say that last part again. Let the men talk about what women do to them?
No, what men do to women. Let that be a post about, oh, name a time where you did something crazy to a female and she still got with you. And if men were to talk about their experiences, then the whole, internet would be in an uproar. You get what I'm saying?
Go into that.
It's always, what I'm saying is that when women do things to harm men, it's always, oh, well, what did the man do? Well, the man had to have done something, or it becomes a laughing matter. It's cute to be toxic. There's nothing cute about being toxic at all.
That's where a sense of accountability comes in.
Yes.
You have to have some sense of self-control.
Yes.
Self-control.
Yes.
All right.
Are we back on?
And we're back.
All right, so we are back. And so one more thing I wanted to call out. I'm calling everybody out today.
You always calling people out. That's one thing to be expected. We're going to hold y'all. Y'all gonna hold y'all accountable.
Yes, I will. I will attack everybody.
They need to know. So we need to know.
Exactly.
You guys to know.
So like, let's talk about women hitting men, right? Mm-hmm. So
I gotta fix my bra, y'all. Excuse me.
There was something, I did see a question about women hitting men, and I answered this question for somebody, right? And I said, if you do not have the endurance to get hit back, don't hit nobody. Because hitting a man is not like hitting another woman. It's different. We're a little smaller. We don't have the same muscle, as men. Like biologically, we're not as strong as men. So keep in mind that if you do feel a little froggy and you want to snap and hit a dude, understand that men do have a fighting response. And if he hits you back, you have no reason to be angry. Sorry. That's my opinion.
I'm not mad at that. I mean, I agree.
And it's not to say that it's right.
Yeah, no.
Because men are strong as hell. Like sometimes you got to be careful with your hands too, because you could really knock a woman out. Yes. But you cannot expect a man to just sit there and take your abuse. Eventually he will snap.
They could be mad, like when you said you can't be mad. I know it's just an expression.
Yeah.
But you can be mad. You could be mad.
I mean, you gonna be mad, but just don't sit there and complain.
Expect that.
Like on Baby Boy.
Like,
oh, I can't believe he hit me. Okay, well, you hit him first.
You get what you give.
Yes.
That's the
energy that you gave. He gave it right back to you. If you do not have the endurance to handle being hit by a man,
and
do not hit a man. Keep your hands to yourself. That's what I want to say.
Thank you.
I don't care who got mad. Listen, you may want to tussle. Guess what? I like to tussle too. That's my unpopular opinion. Keep your hands to yourself.
But I don't think that's unpopular though.
Yeah.
Because I don't condone hitting in a relationship, period.
Yeah.
But I also believe, I understand that we're human. Mm-hmm. Ooh, the mic. I'm too close to the mic. I understand that we're human. And in some situations, a man will have to, he may not be thinking, he may feel attacked and he might react because he's being attacked. So it's like, you really can't fault a person who has been pushed to the limit because we are human men and women too. And people have their breaking points. You see shows like on Oxygen, people being murdered, acts of passion. It's because people snapped and they are pushed to that point. I'm sure they didn't wake up that day and say, well, some probably did, the crazy ones for real. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure they had a moment of insanity and they were pushed and it was self-defense, but they took it too far. Yeah. So it's like, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. If you out here hitting men, one day a man gonna hit you back.
Yes, or period. Even like women too. Like women can definitely snap on a man too, and you push her to the limit, she gonna end up killing you, and that has happened plenty of times. Yeah, like that one woman. Oh my God, I forgot her name. She go way back. She cut her husband's penis off.
Oh, and I don't know that part.
Yeah,
I was locked up with a woman when I had to serve time in the county jail. I was locked up with a woman. She was from Cinnaminson.
Oh wow!
I was locked up with her, and she killed her husband.
Oh dang!
And she was an English woman, and she was so cool. Like that's the thing. Like these be regular people, and they be in situations. I can't tell you how it came about. I can't tell you what happened to her and what put her in that space. But she shot her husband from across the table at the dinner table. And she got locked up. I think her name was Susan or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, but cool lady. Yeah. Like hardworking, kept people together, but people snap.
Yeah,
people get pushed.
People get pushed to a limit, definitely.
Shit is real, and that's why it's important to know the signs. It's important to protect yourself and also be mindful of how you treat people.
Yes, the only reason why I mentioned that the way I did, and it's not like a target towards women or attacking women, but the reason why I mentioned that is because of the double standards and why people think like beating up on men and vandalizing their property is a laughing matter, but you can't get mad if he snaps and does the same shit to you.
Yeah,
you can't get mad.
Yeah, that's law, universal law. You get what you give.
Yes.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I seen Chicago. I went to the play. I went to Broadway to see the play.
I seen Chicago when it first came out.
Yes, but they all have a story of but he did this and then I did this and then like they crazy. Lorena Bobbitt.
Yes, Lorena Bobbitt. That she cut her husband's penis off because he was abusing her.
Got it.
Yeah, cut her husband's penis off.
All right.
I think they reattached it too.
Listen,
God bless.
That's a hell of a wound. We all have our wounds, for sure. But that's a hell of a wound. Get your thing and then get it sewed back on. How that work?
Right.
Impact of abuse. Impact of abuse. The impacts of abuse are severe. They can be severe. They may not show up right away.
Yeah.
We can be very specific and read some of. Do you want to take some?
So like surface things with the impacts of abuse, one of the effects that it can have on you is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
And also there's something new that they're calling CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder, okay?
Yes. And one of the effects that domestic abuse has on you, or abuse in general, is increased fear, guilt, and self-blame. Definitely the self-blame. I see that a lot. Distrust of adults or difficulty forming relationships with others.
Yes.
Disrupted attachments. Yeah. With those who are meant to keep them safe. Mental health disorders such as anxiety, attachment, post-traumatic stress, and depression disorders. There's more. Self-harming or suicidal thoughts, eating disorders or physical ailments, permanent physical injuries or death. Definitely that. I want to highlight that.
I can see the eating disorders and things like that showing up from like childhood, being picked at, being ridiculed for form and stuff like that.
Yes. Violent, aggressive, or criminal behavior or other behavioral problems. And that's normally seen with children too. Drugs and alcohol abuse and high risk sexual behavior.
Ooh. You see, and that's crazy. And we were just having a conversation behind the scenes. It's like situations happen and sometimes you absorb that toxicity and then you start to abuse yourself. You know, like you become a product of what you've endured. You know what I'm saying? So like the substance abuse and things like that, I've had an experience with that. I want to talk about, I'm going to go a little detail into my experience because I was toxic as fuck when I was a teenager, when I was a young adult, before I had my kids. I was just out here living because things were normalized for me. You know what I mean? I saw my dad yell in the house but yell from an extreme. My dad beat my ass to the point where it's like, that couldn't have been legal. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I still struggle with that. And I'm like, but I have to understand that happened to him. But still at the same time, I can own my experience and give my experience space and say, because of what I experienced with my father and that type of abuse, that was emotional and physical abuse. To whoop a kid's ass and break a cutting board on them, that's a thick ass piece of wood. Like if it snaps on a child's bag, you holding them down. Like I feel like now you're taking out something personal on your child because that's extreme. That's abuse. If I have that conversation, you know what I'm probably going to be told, and I have not had this conversation. Okay, not that some people aren't ready to have these type of conversations, but they're going to say, "Oh, you think that's bad?" They're going to compare it to what they got. Oh, I got whooped by switches and like, as if that justifies why they're abusing.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that was something I grew up with. So coming into relationships and dating, people being nice to me was like love. You understand? Like if somebody was calm, because sometimes abusers can be calm. I didn't know what abuse was until after my relationship with my children's father. And it's not to say, first of all, I want to start off by saying I'm not here to discredit anybody's character. I'm not here to drag anybody under the bus or create drama or put my business out there. I am using my experiences to raise awareness and tell my story. Even though there was no physical abuse, even though it didn't look like put downs and girl, you ugly and stuff, like there was none of that. It was calm. It was calm. It was so familiar. It was, to me, that was a safe space because in that mentality that I had, I was used to chaos. I was used to the abuse. I was used to, so I felt safe. And after I went to counseling and after I realized I was educated on what emotional abuse was and what psychological abuse was, for me, it was the stonewalling. It was the me feeling guilty if I wanted to do something for myself and honestly, that was also my own trauma showing up because my daddy issues playing out. Mm-hmm. My partner at that time, my children's father, he didn't have the tools to speak up because I'm sure he didn't see a healthy relationship played out in front of him. So he didn't have the tools to say, you know what, instead of not talking about it and just disappearing into another section of the house for a couple of days and not talking, or, you know, like that type of treatment is normalized. But in his mind, he may have thought, I'm just avoiding conflict. I'm keeping it cool here. It's probably better this way. You know what I'm saying? So, but for me, that was my anxiety showing up, and that's how it affected me. I got anxiety because of that. I don't know. I want to say because of that, but it showed up when that happened. Yeah. That's another thing I had to learn in therapy. Most times when we are triggered, it's because we have a deeper wound that was already there. We just have to be aware of when it shows up and how to cope with it and not project our fears onto people. Because I am guilty. I projected my shit. Yeah. I was overweight. I was working a job that I did not like. I couldn't figure out what I was doing. I wasn't spiritual. I wasn't in tune with myself. So sitting here today, I can only imagine I may not have been the best partner, even though shit was foul. Yeah. I didn't understand my worth though. And that's where the emotional abuse comes in. So it's like, there's a responsibility that we have to ourselves to know our worth so that we can set those boundaries. But the impacts for me, after that relationship, I had to, first of all, I'll give y'all the story. 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. We've had separations because it's a cycle. It's a cycle. When you are in an abusive relationship, it's never just over and it's done. You usually got to go through it a few times to see, wait a minute, something's not right here, right? So separating a few times in between children, then we get back together, and then I have the miscarriage. I have a miscarriage and I lose my child, our child. And at that point, I started to notice things that I was tolerating because now I'm getting tired. Yeah. But because I'm getting tired, now I'm able to see the patterns, and the patterns were there all along. Mm-hmm. There was emotional withholding, like no love, no intimacy. And I don't even know if he did it on purpose. You understand? Like it's a cultural thing. Mm-hmm. A lot of Black men don't see, their fathers giving intimacy to their women because there's a lot of single Black family homes, single mom family. You know what I'm saying? So he may not have seen that in a home. So he didn't know how to do it. I'm not making excuses for people because that's his job to learn as he grows. But there was that. Then there was the punching of walls. If anybody's damaging your property, anything, threatening, jumping, intimidation, that is abuse. That's cute. Intimidation. Yeah. That's intimidation. People have a responsibility to contain their emotions. You are not a punching bag. You are not a child. People shouldn't even do that to children. Yeah. You understand? It's a form of intimidation to make sure that you don't get out of line or push the issue because they're tired of talking about it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I learned that when those situations were happening, I may have provoked. You understand? Mm-hmm. So that was abusive on my behalf. I may have provoked him and kept pushing the issue instead of just being aware. I wasn't aware at that time, but being aware that, okay, maybe he doesn't have the capacity for this conversation right now. Let me back up off of him and let him come because he's a good person. You know what I'm saying? I'm diving in and dissecting my shit, y'all. And like to say, creative, brilliant, good person, but we did not have the tools to navigate a partnership. Mm-hmm. And it became toxic and abusive. Mm-hmm. And I haven't had this conversation with him because I'll tell January 3rd of 2020, this is after COVID, this is after the miscarriage. I just came home one day and, I was tired of feeling like I had to do a dance to get him to smile. Like it just seemed like being pleasant. And he could have been battling his own demons. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But it's like we both got to be doing the work. And if you're both not doing the work, I feel like I was carrying it. So you pretty
much had to people please.
Yes. That was another thing. And that's something I learned from my childhood. Yeah. People pleasing. Okay, maybe I won't get my ass beat. Maybe they'll let me come out my room today and not be on punishment if I do this and if I performing and people. So that showed up in this relationship. And remember, emotional psychological abuse, you don't know what's happening if you're not aware. So I thought it was safe. I thought it was calm. We're doing this family thing. And it wasn't all bad.
Yeah.
But there are incidences that stand out that affected my mental health and affected my perspective and trust in other people. So after I ended it, January 3rd, 2020, I ended it, right? I ended it, and I'm going to be totally transparent. I said, we need to talk. And the first reaction, and this is where I had to learn that this was abuse. This is what made me call a domestic violence hotline, not because he beat my ass, not because, he threatened me. It was none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt unsafe though, even though it wasn't happening, because I made the decision to break up with him, and then a cycle happened. The love bombing. At first it was anger. It was anger. It was like, all right, let's do this because I'm tired. Like we always do this, the cycle, because he's used to the cycle. She probably don't mean it. This is just going to be like every other time, like the 10 years. She's going to break up. We're going to talk. We're going to not talk for a few days, and then everything will be fine. That's the fucking cycle. Okay. But no, I was fed up. So the anger, the next day, I slept in a separate room and everything, but I felt intimidated because he was angry. And it's like, bro, like we've been together for 10 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, we can't talk about this. We can't be mature about this. We have kids. Mm-hmm. Like this, we're not growing here. Mm-hmm. That's toxic. To keep holding each other, to stay in the same complacent place, that is toxic and unhealthy. And it is self-neglect. That is self-abuse when you choose to stay in something that's not growing. So that was another way I was abusing myself. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Wasn't aware of that. So after that, slept in my daughter's room, slept in the room. Next day I went to work, came back ready to talk. It was love bombing. It was please, even though no accountability for his reaction when I first said, I think we need to talk. This isn't working anymore. First reaction was the rage, the jump, man, fuck this. The second reaction was can we talk? Please don't do this to us. And at that point I'm already like, no, you're not going to be accountable for your reaction when I'm telling you that I don't think that we can do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And we've been here before, so it's not new. It's not new information. You should be ready to listen if you want it to work, but some people aren't conscious. So then it's the love bombing. But then once I rejected and he knew that it was for real this time, that's when it got very unfamiliar. And that's when I had to call the domestic violence hotline. And it's not that I had to because I was getting my ass beat, but it's because I needed information, because I knew what I was feeling was not normal. There's no reason why I should break up with somebody on January 3rd and then not have a conversation and be in the same house with somebody until January 30th. A whole month sleeping. I bought a separate bed and everything, had to move the kids are seeing what's happening, gone all day. I'm telling my business at this point. Gone all day.
Wow.
And I am telling my business, but I will be accountable. This is from my perspective. So he will have another perspective, and that's okay. That is okay. I've made peace with that. Come back, not helping, not being present because he's avoiding, and just not happy because it's over.
Yeah.
So I was sleeping in anxiety every night. He would come home, not walk right by where I'm laying my head. I don't know what he would do, because when I would try to talk, I would get aggressive. What? Ain't nothing to talk about. And it's like, bro, like I just said it's over. Like basically denying my reality that I said it's over. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And I'm talking to my friends and they're like, that's not okay. Like now you have to make a plan. You guys are parents. Who's going where? Are you guys going to co-parent in the house? There's real conversations that need to happen now, but we can't have that because he's throwing a temper tantrum. I'm sorry to say it that way because it sounds like I'm attacking his character, but that was my experience. Okay. Whew. And then, And then after that, I called the hotline, and he did this thing, and I don't know if it's because just the buildup of it going on for so long, for a month, and I'm like anxious now, and I'm like paranoia. At this point, I had to start making videos to myself. I had to start recording myself to document, like, this is happening on this day. This is, because I'm like, am I overreacting? Is this just like the other times? Should we just talk? But it's like, no, this is not okay. And that's the cycle. Yeah. Myself, my human self was ready to give in because we get through it all the time. But no, it becomes unacceptable at some point, right? So he did the jumping thing like nothing, and he did it in front of my son. And my son came out and said, Mom, did Dad just yell at you? And that's when I knew I have to break a curse.
Wow.
Because right now there's little humans, and I'm getting goosebumps. There's little humans in here that are watching. And if I allow this, what is my daughter going to accept? If I allow this, how is my son going to treat women? I can't be that. Mind you, I'm already studying herbs. I'm meditating. I already quit my job and started my business because it didn't align. It's like everything was just like coming to a head, and I had to honor myself. And it was COVID season, so you couldn't just kick people out. It's tricky, and there's a lot of things that will get in the way of you making this decision that will save your life and help you free you of these situations, you know? And I felt like I had a lot, but I pushed through it because I kept listening to myself, and I kept recording, and I kept journaling, and I kept reminding myself, I deserve a conversation at least. Yeah. I deserve to be heard. I deserve respect. I deserve to not be afraid or disrespected in front of my children. I deserve peace. I deserve peace. Let go. We'll work it out. And at that point in the beginning, this was a year and a half ago. In the beginning, January 3rd, 2020. Yeah. 2 years.
Okay.
Well, almost. No, because it was January. Half of the year is over on the 2023. Yeah, I keep track because it's my life, and I'm healing, still healing. I don't even know. But the point is, I almost circled back, and I would have went back if I didn't hold myself accountable and keep track. And the people that I called, I was shocked when I heard that what I was experiencing was emotional and psychological abuse, because it wasn't physical. And I'm like, what? That's me? Like, when I thought of abuse, I thought of J-Lo and Enough getting her ass beat. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So there's definitely more to abuse that a lot of people don't even realize.
Yes. And when I was in that moment, I wasn't able to see my role. Now that I've done work and I've accepted things, I'm able to see how I showed up that may have triggered him or made him be comfortable treating me that way.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So it's like we play a role in it, and that's not to say it's your fault that you're being treated this way, but you definitely have to spend time and not neglect yourself so you can see where you're setting the bar wrong.
Yeah.
Because you get what you tolerate, and you're stronger than you think you are. And there are options and resources. So after all of that, I told y'all how it happened, what happened. I had to get a temporary restraining order because it was COVID. And that was an option. I didn't know that was an option to me. I thought to get a restraining order, you have to get your ass beat. But no, in the state of New Jersey, they have big domestic violence coverage and laws that protect victims.
Yeah.
It felt so strange to call myself a victim. I'm sure in his mind, he could call himself a victim to something, and that's fair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, to own that and hold that, me, Miss Hyper Independent, Miss I Get It Done. No, like, I couldn't be a victim. But once I was able to hold that and see this is abuse, I am a victim of this right now.
Yeah.
I was able to stand strong. So the temporary restraining order came in, and that got him out of the house. Because it's COVID, there was laws around eviction and stuff like that. We're both on a lease. We've been together for years. All of his stuff. You can't just kick people out in the middle of the winter in a pandemic.
Yeah.
So I had to use my resources. To this day, I still have not had a verbal conversation with this man. It's been almost 2 years. We have kids, and that's for another episode. And that is my fault too. I'm not going to say it's my fault. It is a way that it was set up. I dropped the temporary restraining order because I just wanted him out the house. I just wanted peace. And I feel like I got backlash. Like, I became the enemy because I used that resource. Yeah. Even though a judge gave me that resource because I deserved that resource because I was experiencing real abuse. Like, that's the part that judges just ain't out here giving restraining orders away.
Right.
So it's like, you have to accept that there's some fact here that this was not healthy and something was going wrong. Okay, so the restraining order drops, and now we have a civil restraint where we do things through text messages, and it's only about the kids and things like that. But for a long time, I felt guilty. I felt like I put fear in him, because who wants to call cops on a black man in a world where black men are being killed by cops, right?
Right.
So I dealt with a lot of internal guilt, and that was also a symptom, an impact of the abuse. You question your reality. You question if you're doing too much. You know what I mean? You question you make excuses for the people.
Yeah.
So that was my experience, and now I have I have trust issues, and I overanalyze people, and I try to read them before even giving them a chance Not so much now, but I saw that was something that I developed.
Mm-hmm.
I know I ranted, y'all, but I shared my story. I feel so good right now.
We appreciate the transparency.
Thank you.
Definitely. That's because
your
your story can help a lot of people.
Thank
a lot of
you.
people that don't even realize that they're going through the same thing, and people that don't know how to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Some people, they want to stay for the sake of their children.
And they're not always bad guys like you see in the movies. You understand? Not saying that he's a bad guy, but he's not doing the work and being accountable for his harmful behaviors. And that's what makes it abusive. Okay. And anybody can abuse. Like I said, I played a role in the abuse too. So, but you have a right to protect yourself once you become conscious and you become aware.
Yeah.
You break the cycle. You have to break the cycle. Use those resources.
So how, like, to break it down, because you went through it, how exactly can you break that cycle? Like, what would you tell people who are going through the same thing?
Break the cycle. First, to break the cycle, you have to be aware that there's a cycle.
Yeah.
Definitely educate yourself.
Yeah.
You have to listen to your body. You have to listen to your body. It wasn't until I found meditation and I had to sit still. Like, it's all connected. Yeah. It's really all connected. It wasn't until I meditated and sat still, things started to come up. And I'm like, oh, I need to change this. Oh, I need to change this. And then little by little, things started to change from my job, from my weight, from all types of things, my mood, my perspective, and things started falling away. But then I started to see, wait a minute, this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel good, but this is familiar and I love this person. You know what I mean? But this doesn't feel good. Yeah. So you really have to be in tune with your body and listen and honor that. And that doesn't mean be reactive and act right away and try to make somebody the villain, but just say, I feel this way when this person does this. Why is that? Are they doing it on purpose? Do they know they're doing it? Then you open your mouth and you make it. First, you observe it yourself and you make note of it. If it happens again and you feel a way and you see, you make somebody accountable. That is a step in breaking a cycle. You hold somebody accountable. What they do with that information once you share it, that will determine whether they are suited to do the work and they care about you and they don't want to hurt you purposely. But if this is a part of the cycle. So there's tension building, there's the incident, there's reconciliation, then there's the calm. Yeah. Okay. So the tension building is little things here and there. You're not speaking up when things bother you. You're letting things slide. You're just keeping the peace, but the resentment is there. The feeling is there. That's allowing the tension to build. Then there's an outright explosion and the abusive behavior happens, whether it's you're getting cussed out, you're being ignored, you're getting people putting their hands on you, you're being ghosted. That is the incident. After the incident happens, you're emotional, you're expressing yourself. You don't know what happened. There's probably a breakup or just a blowout. Then the reconciliation comes and it's the love bombing. And it's the, I'm sorry, I'll do better, I'll change it. Sometimes people want to do better, but I find that these abusers have their own issues and they're not ready to really make changes. Yeah. You know, and they distract themselves from their accountability with vices, whether it's substance abuse, whether it's different addictions, whether it's busy work and this is just life and not doing the work, but they make excuses for it and then they promise they're going to change and then there's a calm and it's a lovey-dovey period where it's like, okay, well, at least we're not fighting. We haven't fought in a week now. We haven't, it's not that bad. At least he didn't call me a bitch this time. You know what I'm saying? Like, now. And that's the cycle. And then until the tension builds, because now it's like, oh, I told him to do this or I told her to do this and they purposely didn't, how could they forget? And I reminded and I sent them a text. Like things will start to build up and that's the tension until the incident happens. Yep. So it's over and over and over again. And it's like that's why it's important it wasn't until I meditated and got still and journaled my experiences, I really had to make videos of myself. I plan on sharing and revealing some of those things through my Connect with Karma mentorship program because a lot of it is the inner work I did. It was because of my healing that I had to do after that experience. I wasn't aware. I'm aware now. And it's so important for you to validate yourself. Yeah. Validate yourself. A lot of people don't get out of these because they're like, I'm overreacting, or they're not questioning their beliefs. Yeah. They're not questioning, how serious is this? How is this impacting me? I have a headache. I've had a headache for the past 3 days and I can't remember the last time I drank water. Or, I haven't seen my friends in so long because I've been stressed out and I know they're going to know my energy is off if I go around them. So let me just sit here and get through this. Like, these are all things that we do to stay in it. But it's like when you come in tune and you hold yourself accountable and you write and you sit still, the signs become louder and you can't ignore that. It was like today, I came today with this package, and it's funny because this episode aligns. So it's a new moon coming. Yeah. Something I do when it's a new moon, I purge through my house and I clean out drawers, and because I feel like I'm making space for new blessings to come in. I went through a binder. I'm getting my daughter registered for school, preschool. She's potty trained, she's ready to go. Yeah. And I went through my folder and I had to get social security cards out, and in there is a bunch of memorabilia things like photos and things like that. I've given my kids, pictures of their father. I'm not spiteful in that sense of like destroying people's things. Even when he moved out, don't you know, I was sitting there folding his things and putting it neatly in the basement so he could come in and get it. Because I'm not trying to, I just want a piece.
Right.
So I was going through my stuff and I came across cards of happy birthdays, Father's Days, Mother's Days from him to me. But this for me is healing. You understand? Like to go back and look, and sometimes to think about it, it hurts because I see the intention of wanting to build love is there. Yeah. And that's what keeps us in these toxic things, because you want love. Right. You have an idea and it's like, well, if I just accept this and maybe he'll change, maybe she'll change. She says she wants to do better. Maybe she'll, but some people can only meet themselves where they've met themselves. They don't know. They may not see nothing wrong with it. Yeah. So I came across this stuff and I looked at it and I got emotional, and it's like, wow, these are really beautiful, very consistent. But then I had to think like, it wasn't like that in real life though. Like he wasn't able to do that, and that's okay. And I have to make peace with that. But I felt like a ritual that I'm doing to promote more healing and release of this. That's why this episode is so on time for me, yo. The alignment of coming across these, the releasing it before a new moon, the card, I accept what is and release the desire to gain clarity on things I cannot control. Yeah. Cords are cut. I allow healing in space. Blessed be. And I'm going to burn these. And not because I'm angry, but because it is time. These don't serve a purpose. I feel like things like this can trigger human emotions that might make you make sense or discredit your experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, these are cute. He loved me. He did love me. He did. I can't take that away. He loved me how he knew how. Yeah. We didn't have the tools, and now it's time to heal and let go. Yeah. And I've done my thing. I'm in a happy relationship now that is very healthy, and because of that experience, I'm able to see, you know what I deserve, because I've done the work. I can speak up for myself. Things aren't perfect, but I'm respected, and abusive behaviors don't happen. And if they happen, we call it for what it is, and we're like, you know what? Yeah, that's kind of wild on both ends. But things to do while healing, when breaking the cycle: journal, get still with yourself,
get therapy,
love. Therapy. And then you can go through your home, get rid of those pictures in your phone. Get rid of those poems, it's okay to have the memory, the experience, but if you know it's holding space in your life, you need to make room for new blessings and new opportunities to come in. So this is a part of my healing now, because I'm not going to say I'm healed, but I'm at such a peaceful place because I feel like I went about it in a healthy way once I learned what was happening. Okay. So this is something to do when cutting cords on a spiritual level, cutting cords, releasing things, the actual physical release and let go and let it be, and just make peace with what is. Yes. But you definitely have to get in tune with yourself and know that there is help. It doesn't have to be physical. It doesn't have to be, I didn't know that it was abuse and I didn't know that I was abusive until I got help and got curious and started to listen to myself. Yep. Like, this isn't right.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I shared so much. Yeah.
Yo. No, we appreciate your transparency. Like I said, your transparency can help a lot of people.
Getting out of that. Yeah. I'm a totally different person. And that's another thing that will tell you that you're in something that is not good for your growth, good for your health. You're stunting your growth if you're not chasing things that you're passionate about,
Yeah.
if you're not spending time, we talked about this on the last episode with love and relationships. If you're on a cycle where it's constantly chaotic and you can't even get to you because you're processing emotions all the time in survival mode, like, what am I going to do? That's not healthy.
Yeah.
That is a cycle. That is a pattern. You deserve calm. You deserve calm, peace, clarity. We deserve peace.
Yeah.
We are loving beings. We deserve, and it's okay if you don't know how so well. You don't have to wait to learn how to in love is an action. You got to try, you got to practice, you got to fail, you got to be open to hearing, you got to try again. There's learning to do on both sides all the time, but definitely don't stay in things just because hopes for people to change.
Because I didn't mention this before, but there are far too many people that are dying from domestic violence. Too many people that are dying, especially Black women at a very alarming rate.
Yeah.
That are dying from abuse.
Yeah.
So I wanted to wrap that up with resources on how to get help and how to escape from this situation. Speak with somebody that you can trust.
Yeah.
Create that exit plan. I also wanted to bring up the National Domestic Violence Hotline.
Beautiful.
800-799-7233. They are a 24 hour 7 day a week hotline. So you can don't hesitate to call. You owe it to yourself. If you're in a situation now, you owe it to yourself to live.
Yes. And
your life is very important.
Definitely important. So
yes,
you said die. People are dying.
Yes.
When you hear the word dying, you think dead, gone dead. But you are killing yourself slowly. You are killing yourself slowly, staying in those situations, even if, it's not an immediate death. More than likely, you're suppressing your pain with some sort of substance, whether it's alcohol, shopping, you're distracting yourself. You might be becoming abusive to your kids because you don't have an outlet. So now mommy's just irritated. Like, it shows up, and you are killing relationships and killing other things that are here to love you. You know what I'm saying? So you're killing yourself
because
slowly
of the situation that you're in. Yes.
Also, from personal experience, not just this hotline, the place that I personally used was the Camden County Center for Women. Camden County Center for Women. It was an 856 number. I called. They have in-house counseling. They walk you through the legal processes. They help you file paperwork. They got me a lawyer. There is a system that you can use when you're afraid. When you are afraid and don't know what to do, you're calling your friends and like, oh girl, it's just the same old shit. You already know you ain't gonna leave him. You love him. Don't do that when your friend comes to you. Like, really be open and listening, because it's a cycle, and a lot of times people go back. I know people who went back and are still in it, and all I could do is just embody my experience and let them know you deserve love. That's it. You know what I'm saying? So Camden County Center for Women, check for Center for Women's. There's all types of resources. They will get you lawyered up, protected, removal from house, new home location, because there's different levels of abuse. You might have to run and not run. You shouldn't have to run because this is your life. You should be safe, but you might have to change locations and get where they don't know where you are. They provide those type of services, or they could be discreet and you could do virtual therapy sessions just until you educate yourself enough, until you get the courage to leave. But do something. Don't sit in it. It doesn't have to be, that was one of our Oracle cards. You don't want to wait and just sit in it, but you don't have to make impulsive, wild reactions unless you're like physically in danger for your life. Then you need to get out immediately.
Yeah,
and
definitely
create have a support person.
Yeah, definitely create an escape plan.
An escape plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Definitely.
That wraps everything up.
Yeah.
And today was pretty deep.
We did that.
Yes.
Excuse me, I know in the beginning I was weird as hell, but that's because it's a real life situation for me. But I showed up and I'm proud of myself for that.
Yes.
So, you feel me? I feel so much lighter though. All right. So that was episode 13.
Yes. Episode 13.
We will see you next time.
Yes. Take care. Be safe out there.